Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Our first story today comes to us from Uranium Snail. Don't want to pay me overtime? I don't think that will work the way you think it will. Let's jump right in. Background. Many years ago, I worked for a large multinational software hardware consulting place that you will have heard of. We'll call them Employer. On this particular assignment, I was a small cog in a 300-plus person project to run many of the IT systems of a major telecoms company. My particular responsibility was application support for the customer care area. This covered an internal web app that the client's help desk used to look up customer details, do upgrades, refunds, address changes, etc., as well as the public FAQ website and the email ticketing system used to communicate with their customers. Most of this software was written by the 15-person dev team that sat a few short steps away from my desk, who were largely great to deal with. I joined just as the first very small release went live, and with each new release, they added more features and more help desk people. So at the start, there were two of us supporting this app, with the idea that as more releases and features were added and the workload increased, they would add more people to the team to help out. Workload increases. So after a few months, we've had the first two software releases, the number of users is ramping up, and we are having more and more tickets to deal with. At this point though, the other guy on the team whispered in a few managers' ears and got transferred to one of the other work streams, but no one thought to replace him with anyone else. So now, it was just me doing all the support by myself, which had the inevitable consequence of wait times for tickets going up. As an example, I had a very nice lady from one of the other support teams come over and politely ask me when I might get a chance to look at the ticket she had raised. The conversation went something like this. Hi there, I have a question about a ticket assigned to you. Sure, what's the ticket number? 123456. We need you to implement it before we can add some feature. Do you think you can look at it in the next few days? It's a Sev 3. Sev meaning severity, where Sev 1 is a system outage, Sev 2 is urgent but not critical, Sev 3 is basically the default, and Sev 4 is nice to have. I then do some maths in my head, thinking of all the other things higher priority than a Sev 3, and reply, 4 weeks. Slightly stunned blank look. That's if there are no Sev 1 outages for the next month, and no one raises any more Sev 2s. Oh, and we are averaging 3 Sev 1s per week right now. Oh, is there anyone else I can talk to? No, sorry, it's just me. That's why it'll take 4 weeks. Polite lady wanders off. The reality, of course, is that I would never get to look at a Sev 3, which I think she realized. On-call rota. Since there were public-facing elements to the system, we also had an on-call rota in case of out-of-hours problems. There was a shared support phone, which I think was a Nokia 3310, whose ringtone still gives me PTSD when I hear it. The rota consisted of me and the guy who left for the other team, as he still wanted to pull in some extra cash. You see, for all its failings, Employer actually had a really good overtime setup, which included the on-call time. We'd alternate each week, starting on Monday evening, and then being on call for all the time we were not in the office until the following Monday. So if I was in the office for 8 hours, then I'd be on call for 16, then work for 8, back on call for 16, etc. So doing a 40-hour week, I'd be on call for about 128 hours. We'd get paid 1/4 of our hourly rate for being on call, but then there's a bonus multiplier depending on if it's a regular work night, weekend, or bank holiday. So I was basically doubling my salary thanks to the on-call gravy train. I mean, the 2 a.m. callouts were not much fun, especially when you have to work for 5 hours to get the system back up again, then come back in the next day to deal with the fallout, but the money was good and I was young. I wasn't really doing much overtime other than the on-call and callouts, as when you are repeatedly called out in the middle of the night, you don't much feel like going the extra mile the rest of the time. I was doing enough that we very rarely had an outage during the day, but didn't have time to do anything proactive or think about long-term improvements. I could only just keep my head above water. I think the number of Sev 2s was actually increasing over time, and dealing with a Sev 3 was only a dream. I'd occasionally have a meeting with one of the 3 service managers I reported to, who'd moan a little about the number of old open tickets, but I just asked them what my priority should be, and they'd concede I was doing the right thing. And yes, I reported to 3 managers, which worked about as well as you'd expect. But that's for another time. Email from management. I arrived to work one day, and I'm stopped by one of the support people from another team. Have you seen the announcement? What announcement? Check your email. This happens at least 3 times before I've even gotten to my desk. I'm now intrigued and slightly fearful about what I might find. Has the project been canned? Are we going to get the project away day that has been rumored for months? My laptop has never taken so long to boot up, but when it does, the news is not good. Overtime payments are over. Starting in 2 months' time, all overtime will be compensated by time off in lieu. Toil. Yeah, that acronym is apt. No more doubling of my salary, no more nice holidays, no more, wait a sec. I've just reached the bit where they explain how the amount of toil is calculated from the amount of overtime. That can't be right. I go to the spreadsheet I use to track my hours and start making some edits based on the email. Edits complete, I start trying out some numbers. Well, what do we have here? A plan is forming. The compliance. For the next month, I do just a little bit of overtime each day. Sometimes an hour, sometimes more. If we have a bad week for Sev 1s and callouts, then I don't do as much, but if we have a quiet week, then I'm staying after hours every night. A week or 2 into my new regime, I have a meeting with the service manager, and they are now a bit happier as the ticket queue has actually gone down for the first time in ages. I say nothing about the toil, and as the meeting is ending, they are actually surprised I didn't bring it up, as they have been getting an earful from all the other support people. I play it down and say that I haven't really thought about it yet, but I'm sure I'll be fine. The meeting ends with them thanking me about taking it so calmly. I just smile. After working like this for a month, it's now time for phase 2 of the plan. I book a meeting with one of the service managers and bring my laptop with the overtime spreadsheet. The meeting goes something like this. I have some concerns about the upcoming toil change. Manager suddenly bored. Do you? What are they? Well, I track my hours in this spreadsheet so that it's easier to submit my overtime payments, and I thought I'd update it to support the new toil processes. Manager slightly suspicious. Okay. Well, if you look at my hours for the past month and look at the weeks when I'm on call, then the amount of time off that the project will owe me is calculated as this much, points to a cell on the paper. Right, what's the problem? Do you not see the issue? For this week where I'm on call, I'm owed 41 hours of time off, but I'm only contracted to work 37 hours per week. Puzzled frown. What does that mean? It means that for any week that I'm on call, I'd have to take the entire next week off work, paid for by the project. No work would get done on my work stream, no tickets would be completed, no change requests, and no root cause analysis would be done. We'd only be able to do half the number of tickets that we currently do, and that's already pretty low. Not only that, but the extra few hours over my contracted hours will gradually add up, so that at some point I won't even be able to be on call for the full week. Manager's fully awake now. Take me through the maths again. Yes, you see, for the previous month, I'd been making sure that I'd done just enough overtime, clearing down tickets, that the amount of toil I would be owed under the new system would be more than my contracted hours. The service managers couldn't complain about the extra hours, as they wanted the ticket queue to go down, and the project managers couldn't complain as this was their idea in the first place. The service manager said to leave it with him, and the meeting ended. The aftermath. 2 weeks later, an email came out from management saying that the toil change was being postponed. I'd like to think that it was all my doing, but it may have also been the fact that many of the support people were talking about getting their names off the various on-call rotas, as it wasn't really worth doing just for time off. Management couldn't just make the toil rates worse either, as they were mandated by the company, so they didn't really have a choice but to back off once they were shown the numbers. As for my work stream, the service managers seemed to get the hint, as within a few months the team had grown from just me to 4 of us. I finally had the time to do preventative maintenance, as well as spending more time talking with the development team. This eventually allowed me to move to a role that was 50-50 support and development, which started me on the path to being a full-time software developer. The on-call gravy train chugged along for another couple of years. until the whole company watered it down from 1/4 to 1/10 of the hours. The project never switched to toil. You know, it's absolutely amazing what a math-literate person and a spreadsheet can accomplish. I can't help but feel bad for the polite lady though, because her Seb 3 ticket never got dealt with, at least not that we know of. Do me a quick favor and take a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're actually not subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our second story today comes to us from Prime Minister Dumbass. Need to resign because of sick leave? Sure, let's jump right in. I used to work at a grocery store. It was in this smallish beachside community that had a lot of tourists and summer homes. Chose the store because they were all about finding long-time workers and had a little bonus and salary boost for those who finished their probationary period. I had just finished school and planned on taking a gap year, so worked out well in my mind. I started about 2 months before summer and it was nice. We had a base of coworkers that worked well with each other. Mostly middle-aged women and some pensioners. Found out quick the smoke break was for gossiping about the others, and sometimes I took part when clients pissed me off or other coworkers. Usual daily things. I was told from day one that the manager didn't give a crap about us because she was also manager at a bigger store. The rule was if you had someone to cover you, it was fine to do whatever. Some took hour-long breaks, some drank during the job. But I was trying to make a good impression on my first job in that town, so I never did anything like that. Since I didn't have that much of a social life, I always changed shifts when someone needed, came in if someone was sick, even stocked the end shelves, which were the shift manager's job. When the pensioners asked in the middle of the day to change assignments because their back hurt from stocking, I was always okay with it, and they were really thankful. One of them, let's call her Lydia, was actually a neighbor and friends with my grandparents, so we used to hang out during lunch breaks, and she even comforted me when I had a panic attack. We used to ride home together on our bikes when we finished together. She kinda took me under her wing and used to call me her work granddaughter. Things kinda took a turn once summer started. Usually, it was about 1,000 euros per 2 registers. Now, it was suddenly 2,000 per one. They also hired summer workers who were 3 16-year-old stock boys, one being the manager's son. Not to be an old-timer cursing the work ethics of children, but they were literally playing some tank games on their phone on the store floor while they had a cart of stuff that they needed to put out in front of them. Not to mention the not checking of dates, shoving old stuff in the back and new in the front, not checking if the barcode matched the price tag's barcode. What really pisses me off was that they didn't flush and peed all over the toilet seats. Management made it my job to clean up after them. I was told I couldn't say anything to call them out, so it became my everyday duty to clean the toilets, cause the cleaner only came in the morning. Then the self-service checkouts came. I was the only cashier there when the builders put them in, so it became my duty to train the others, including management and the 2 60-plus somethings. Lydia took it easy. The old man literally refused to learn. So now, every day, either me or Lydia had to be in the store because the old man refused. It was also regular he came in drunk and drank at work. Also, used to hit on me a lot, but I brushed it off. So, a lot on my shoulders. Crap went down after I got my vaccine in the start of August. I had 2 days off. Figured I wouldn't get that sick because I already had it. It was about a week or so before my probation period ended. So on Monday, I felt terrible and called in. My first time during the whole time I worked there. Called in with the manager, "You have to come in, Lydia's on vacation and the only other one who knows is already sick, and you didn't give us proper notice." Try to argue that I have a fever of 39 and feel like crap. No, have to come in. So I get my crap together and go to work. Scrubbing the toilet floor with a fever. Dealing with customers with a fever. Yes, I took more breaks. Most coworkers asked me why I look like crap, and I told them I was sick. End of the day and go home. Next day, I feel even worse. Call in, say, "No, I'm putting my foot down, I can't come." First time I took a stand and said I can't destroy my health. Fine, you call Lydia and tell her. If she agrees, then you have to take sick leave. Okay. Not really my job, but fine. Call her, woke her up, apologized profusely, and told her the situation. She understood, wished me to feel better, and hung up. I called my doctor and got on sick leave, and then informed my manager. Went back to sleep. I got a call a few hours later. It's Lydia. You make everyone's lives so difficult here. Come in and give me your resignation. She isn't the manager, she's just a cashier like me. I asked, WTF? And she told me that they have been talking on the smoke break with all the shift managers and the main manager, and apparently they decided I complained too much about my health and about other workers. I asked why my manager didn't call me. No real explanation. I said if the manager wants to fire me, she'd have to call me herself. No call. So 2 hours later, I call her myself. Ask her what's going on. It's true. I need to resign my position. I ask why they don't just terminate me. I'm still on probation. Can't, cause you're on sick leave. Doesn't really make sense. During the probation period, they can fire me with no notice, no reasoning. I'm fuming at this time. Fine, I'll come in with my 39-degree fever. Got on my bike, pedaled the 3 kilometers. Everyone is giving me dirty looks. Manager gives me a filled out paper stating I quit on the day for personal reasons. I ask, so you can't fire me because I'm on sick leave? I need to resign? Manager says yes, it's too much paperwork to fire me. She doesn't have the time. Okay, deal. I take out a blank piece of paper, write my quitting date as 2 weeks from now, to be polite and give them the proper notice. Manager was fuming and argued I can't do that. I said that's the time frame I need to give according to my contract. She was too lazy to argue more. I signed the sheet and walked out, called my doctor the next morning and talked about my sick leave. Few days later, the manager calls me. Tomorrow is the big town fair. I'm definitely not sick anymore and can come in tomorrow. They are super short-staffed. I said that I'm on sick leave. She said I can't still be feeling crap and get into work right now. I told them no, my sick leave ends on day after my resignation date. She got super pissy and said that if I didn't come to work, she'd have to be on the register the whole day. To that, I just coughed fakely and said, well, have fun, and hung up. Spent the 2 weeks on the beach on paid sick leave, and also my probation lapsed, so they had to pay me the bonus. Okay, a couple things I noticed in this case. Number 1, OP's username, Prime Minister Dumbass. That leads me to believe that OP might be Canadian, and the way they type doesn't make me think that they're from any of the other countries that have a prime minister, so I think they're from here. Now, if you're in Ontario, it's a one-party consent province. What that means is that you can record a conversation from a phone in your pocket, and you don't have to have the other person's permission. OP, if I were you, I would have recorded those conversations, and I would have gone straight to the labor board because it's a constructive dismissal when they're telling you that you need to resign because they can't fire you due to your sick leave. I know you got a bonus the way you did it, but I think you could have gotten a heck of a lot more if you'd gone through the labor board. Check out both OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.